Hello and welcome to the Build with Baer Workshop. My name is Pat Baer. I'm here to build a model kit of all things, and I'm also here to hang out with all of you. And I'm going to start by throwing the Bear Cave Lego the site, the tier 2 blue emote in the chat. If you are currently a subscriber, you can say hi. If you are, and use my emotes, if you are not a subscriber, you can just, say hi, use other people's emotes. If you want to be a lurker, you can go ahead and lurk. You don't have to say anything at all. If you don't want to, Ghost Valve is here. Hello, Ghost Valve. We are currently at, boom, 25 out of 40 subscribers. The goal is to hit 40. I shut up at 40. We're currently at, as I said, 25. If you want to become a subscriber, you can. You could also gift a sub to somebody in the community. You could join Lashbrook on the gift sub leaderboard if you want to do that. You got options. That's just one of them right there for you. Tonight's agenda is to begin the Reborns Gundam. That's right. It's the Reborns Gundam. It's not a great name, but it is the name of it. I don't know why it's plural, but it is. It is from Gundam 00, the second season, I believe. It's a cool model kit. It has a transformation. It doesn't have like a vehicle or a flight mode or anything like that. It just has like a gun cannon mode, basically. It's pretty cool. And we'll begin that kit tonight. I'm looking forward to working on that. Leia, why not just go to the overhead, Pat? Okay. All right, Pat, I will. Let's go to the overhead. And then let's get some parts here. Much like the previous kit that we worked on, a kit that we began working on what we did. Like on Thursday, and we completed on Saturday, the Gelgoog. We are starting with a chest, then we're going to build a head, and then we're going to build the weapons and the shield. And that's so weird. It was like this late 2000s style of model kit building where you built like the accessories before you built the arms. It's very strange to me, but that is the style they were going for at the time, and we will of course use that. We will not be using all of these polycaps. We'll use some of them. Lord Crashington has been subscribing for 61 months. Let's throw the Bear Cave Lego site tier 2 blue emote in the chat. Thank Lord Crashington for that many months. And Lord Crashington shares this message: Reborns, just like those depressing dolls from that one 404 panel with Jeff's grocery haul videos. Yes, Lord Crashington, that is somewhat minorly kind of similar. I was saying there are a lot of polycaps here. We might not use all of them, but we'll use quite a few. This is a fairly detailed kit. I do not think this is a 2-stream build. This feels more like a 3-stream build. 2.5, but whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of details here. There are, unfortunately, a lot of color correcting stickers on this kit. This kit's got some fucking stickers. Just Another Spicy says, hi, Pat. Hi, chat. Hello to you. Just Another Spicy. Welcome. Let's start with the update. You may have heard on me talk on Saturday about how I had hurt my lower back, and it was causing me quite a bit of pain. And in fact, I kind of ended the stream about 5 minutes earlier than I normally would, because I do lean over a little bit in order to build here, just the way my setup is, which normally isn't a problem for 2 hours, but was an issue on Saturday. Update 2 days later, feeling way better. My lower back has been totally all right. In the morning, there's like a hint of pain a little bit when I get out of bed, but other than that, it's been fine. I've been stretching a lot, trying to stretch out the muscles and everything, and get some support that way, and that's been good. I stretch a little bit before I go for walks or before I get on an exercise bike, but I don't really stretch enough. And I say that because I wasn't just stretching out my back muscles. I was like, well, while I'm on the ground here, kind of stretching everything out, letting things settle, try to, get the blood flow and moving things around a little bit, I'll just do a whole body stretch and just kind of stretch out everything. Apparently, my body did not appreciate that because I think I pulled a thigh muscle, and so I have been walking real weird. It's been like 3 days of walking weird now. One day was my back, and then it was like, oh no, your back is fine, Pat, but now you've got other problems. What I'm saying is, don't get old. Never stop exercising and stretching out, because you don't want to lose any of that. And I think that's it. It's very fun. The human body is weird. Yeah. So part of it might be, and again, I don't know for sure. I can't tell you for sure, but part of it could be that because my back was hurting me, I was overcompensating or, compensating for it as I was moving around, and I might have. Okay. So how does this connect? It doesn't really give me a good photo. I'm going to open these up. It could be that while I was, like stretching and also just trying to like compensate for my back not being great, I might have accidentally pulled a muscle because of that, because of the tension of trying to keep myself in good spirits. That's possible. I don't know for sure. So I don't know what this wants me to do for real here. I know this wants me to open these up, which I will. And it gives me an overhead photo that I don't think does a lot to help me. Does it want to go like that? Like that? All right, maybe that's how you want this to look. I don't know. I'll find out once I go and put in the front part of this. I think this is right. Now, again, Lord Crashton says slowly falling apart. Yes, I am slowly falling apart over time. It might be that I've done this correctly. I might not have done it correctly. And the only reason I say that is because this kit does have some transforming elements to it. So that might not have been exactly how I was supposed to put this together. We'll find out as we go. As always, as long as I'm not snapping pieces apart, it's correctable. Mistakes can be fixed. Sometimes it'll take a little while because you got to use different tools to pop the pieces out, but we'll make it work. Said Fatman says body slowly falling apart, relatable. Yeah, I don't know. I've been listening to old Bombcast, and there's one August 2010 that is old. That's very old, Lord Crashington. Where Ryan gets excited that he didn't delete an email you wrote about whether they think Drew's good at ping pong that I wasn't expecting. So you will hear if you listen to Pat, if you listen for Pat from Brooklyn, you will hear a few Pat Baer questions. One of which I found a secret, which was you could address them to other people. I once, Drew was doing the podcast once, and I just emailed him because I knew that he was going to be checking because he was filling in. So I knew he would be checking the emails. So I just addressed one to him, and that's how I got on. But I have quite a few questions. That ping pong one, I believe, was my first. Because I thought that was a good question. Like, do you think Drew is good at ping pong or not, just based on what you know about him? I thought that was a fine question to ask. Because it added a little of the parasocial elements right back at them. We have our own opinions on people and all that. Why not see what their opinions of their coworker were? The one they knew the least. Yes, just another spicy. We've chatted a bit about that, or at least mentioned on here that Drew does work for Twitch. He left Digital Eclipse and went to Twitch, and he is streaming on occasion. And his YouTube channel is it's okay. I mean, I think I mentioned in passing his YouTube channel. He is posting archives and very bare bones. And I think one thing I appreciate is his archives are just like whatever game you looked at. He's doing each game as an individual upload, and I kind of appreciate that. Okay, I think I have done this properly because this was not a pain in the ass to put together. I do have to add stickers though, and we'll add the stickers now. And we'll see if I can figure this out here because this is 2009, so they are not numbered. There are symbols for them that I don't, know right off the top of my head, and there are plenty of stickers here. So I think it's these. That would make the most sense. It's these. That and then that's simple. Yes, okay, so it's these. All right, let's figure out how these go on. I mean, it would make the most sense if it was like this. Yeah. So yeah, these are going to be color correcting stickers. This one has a little bit of a bend to it, but was still pretty easy to put in. We'll see if the other one is similar. Okay, so I talked about myself, my body falling apart. That was the first thing that I want to talk about. Let's get into the good news. I mentioned this earlier that we were going to talk about some good news in the world of gaming. And then we'll kind of talk about what we don't necessarily see in a lot of the reporting is the why. Why did this happen? Not why did this happen, but how is this happening? I guess the how. So Tango Gameworks is in the news. You may remember that Tango, about a month ago, Microsoft said they were closing Tango Gameworks and laying everybody off. Tango Gameworks, probably up until recently, best known for The Evil Within, but had a splash game last year, Hi-Fi Rush. Huge game for them. Really creatively fulfilling game. Very fun, very cool game. But yeah, they were going to get closed. As Microsoft was talking about like creating new IP and making all these things happen, internally there was talk internally that they pitched a new game and they also pitched a follow-up to Hi-Fi Rush. And it was decided that instead of doing those things, Microsoft was just going to shutter the company. Well, they're back from the dead. Tango Gameworks is being... It was sold from Microsoft to the publisher Krafton. Krafton is a South Korean publisher, but they have published games internationally. Biggest game they've published is Callisto Protocol. Probably that's the biggest game that we know, but they've published all across the world a variety of games. You may know them as a shell company, not in a bad way, in a global market. They want to have an office there because of the guy who founded the company thing. But basically, Bluehole, who used to be called PUBG, the people that publish PUBG, that for a little while were calling themselves that, but then eventually we're like, hey, maybe instead of calling ourselves PUBG, we should call ourselves another name, and they ended up going with Bluehole. They're basically the PUBG people now own Hi-Fi Rush or Tango Gameworks and also Hi-Fi Rush. That was the other part of it, is that part of this purchase deal is also the IP for Hi-Fi Rush. The original game will still be available. Where it is, you won't lose access or anything like that. It is still a game published by Microsoft. The possibility of the port that theoretically could have happened could still happen. Who knows? We don't know if the Switch port will suddenly become a possibility. It's probably unlikely, but it could happen. But the thing to talk about this is they're hiring people back. They are purchasing the team along with the studio. And you're saying to yourself, well, Pat, they were all laid off, right? The studio's closing. They're all laid off. How does that work? Does that just like a weird marketing thing? Is that just part of a press release? No, creative director said like, yeah, all right, we ride again, basically. How does this work? And how this works is that even though it was owned by Microsoft, Tango Gameworks was a Japanese company. And they had not relocated the company to the United States at any point or another country. They were a company that existed in Japan. And even if all its employees didn't live and work in Japan, they were still registered as a Japanese company. And guess what, folks? Under Japanese labor laws, you can't just lay everybody off and close it. The doctrine that we're looking at here as far as labor laws is doctrine of abusive dismissal. Which is basically employers can't just shed employees willy-nilly unless, this is according to someone very familiar with Japanese labor law, certainly more than me, when employer can prove the organization would go bust. And guess what? Microsoft can't couldn't say that. So those employees they were in the process of being let go. But basically, the Japanese employment law, the reason why this company got sold, right? We can look at this. Why would Microsoft sell it? Why would they sell the IP? Why would they do this? Why would they do all this stuff? Well, because they kind of have to. If you're not going to move every employee from Tango Gameworks to another position in Microsoft, then you need to work with the federal government of Japan to find jobs. You might have to have job fairs. You might need to make deals with other companies to transfer employees, so other game companies in Japan. There's a lot of things you'll need to do to appease the Japanese government and not run afoul of them. And if you're a company that sells video games and has relationships with Japan, you probably don't want them fucking pissed off at you. So, what's the easiest solution to all of that trouble? Well, it's selling the company and the employees, not just the name, not just the rights, not selling it and then laying off everyone, which you would also expect other companies to do in those situations. No, the cheapest, easiest solution is to find a buyer of that group and transfer the employees. Now, will every single employee transfer over to the new one? Probably not. There'll be some people that decide not to do it, I'm sure, but the offer is there. And basically, so one of the things you can do in Japan, and again, this is from me doing a lot of reading about this. Originally, I did this reading because you may remember how we talk about how cool Iwata was back in the day in Nintendo, where he took a pay cut so that his company they wouldn't have to lay people off, and how awesome that was. And it was awesome. But also, if you just start dismissing people because you want to save a little bit of money, they can take you to court and Japan will rule in favor of the employees and you will have to reinstate them. And imagine all of the people at Tango Gameworks suddenly getting their jobs back with Microsoft. Which is a possibility. That was a thing that could have happened. So this is, even though it is ridiculous, this is by far the most reasonable solution from a business perspective. A sad fat man. It is a weird thing. It is but yeah. So look, there's a lot about Japanese corporate culture and working culture that has been changing over the decades and hopefully will continue to change. Certainly, but the laws protecting employees are things that we can tip our hat to and we can celebrate. And again, there are certainly, all right, so I need this symbol. There are certainly things to be said. And again, I am not presenting myself as an expert in this, but these are things that I did look at because I remember reading this was years ago. I remember reading somebody, like I probably was on Tumblr, somebody saying like, Japan would have made them do this. Iwata wasn't special in that regard. He was a cool boss in many other ways, but the whole like, I'm going to not take a bonus so that or not take a salary so that we don't have to lay people off was so that he didn't get in trouble with the Japanese government. You could argue that Nintendo could probably get away with it, but like, yes. So yeah, we don't have to deal with at-will employment. They don't have to deal with that. We certainly do. Let me look at. There's anything else here? I'm looking again at this version. There's not a lot more. There were press releases, and everybody's pretty psyched about it. There was a quote in this article kind of explaining the differences between different companies. Um, uh, but yeah, there's a good article on The Verge kind of about that situation. Hey, Lashbrook. But basically, yeah. Long story short, we don't know every single person's every single choice. Crafton has been publishing a bunch of games. The fact that their press release was basically like, we're excited to work with this developer in house, and we are excited to make more things for Hi-Fi Rush. And it's just like, yeah, I know, it's great. And then major people at the studio have already talked about it. And that's fantastic. I think the original people before they started reading about it originally were like, fuck, they bought the name, okay, sure, but they didn't buy they didn't get the employees. And it's like, no, they actually did, and that's so rare and unique that people were, I think, reasonably caught off guard and surprised by that. But again, does feel like it kind of came out of nowhere, because it was late Sunday night announcement, because that and that part of the country, or that part of the world, I should say, it was daytime. Crafton wants a dev that'll make a game that sells, since Dead Space-like game didn't do that well. Yes. Their Callisto Protocol game did better than some people were expecting, but those people were not Crafton people. But yes, it did not blow the roof off the place. Why can I not get this to fit? This thing should snap into place, and it's not. This is frustrating. There it is. Okay. Hooray. This looks really fucking cool. Even if I need a bunch of stickers to make it work, it's looking pretty neat. All right. Now I need Polycap 6. Yes, I'm glad they continue to exist. I'm glad that part of the sale was the IP, because Microsoft wasn't going to be doing anything with it anyway, and now they're part of a cool story, almost probably begrudgingly, but they are part of a cool story, and it's neat. Yeah, it's a neat bit of business. Good luck to all of them. I'm glad that things are hopefully working out. I am going to use my Translate app on my phone here to see if I can figure out what this says. Before we get into our next bit of news, which is also pretty cool. Not from the world of video games, but from the world of animation. The sticker is attached first. Okay, so when I do this piece 834, I should attach the stickers first before I put the piece on there and then attach there. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Hey, this was announced a couple years ago. Back in 2022, Netflix was like, we are making a Ghostbusters cartoon. And it will be set in the kind of similar to the world that the new movies are in. Probably around the same time as the new movies. This is not a remake of the real Ghostbusters cartoon, but it is a Ghostbusters cartoon for Netflix. And that was kind of the end of it. It was like 2002. It was like, hey, we're making this, or we've greenlit this, and that was kind of it. Apparently, they are making moves on that. Variety reported that Elliot Kalin will be the showrunner, executive producer, and one of the writers for that project. This is a 3D animated series, like you'd expect. It is a Sony Pictures Animations project. Jason Reitman will be executive producer, but hopefully won't have much to do with it. Because that would be nice. And I don't expect that to. Now, if you were like, Pat, I think I know who Elliot Kalin is. I think I'm aware of Elliot Kalin, but like, can you mention anything that Elliot's in? Well, if you listen to a bunch of podcasts, you may know Elliot Kalin for his various podcasts. The one he's probably best known for is The Flophouse, which is a bad movie podcast that he does. Elliot Kalin, for a time, back in the Jon Stewart days, was the head writer for The Daily Show towards the end of Jon Stewart's run. He also worked on a comic that you may know, a Spectacular Spider-Man comic, where there is a scientist who is a dinosaur, and Spider-Man is pleading with him that you can rewrite DNA on the fly. Why are you making dinosaurs? You could cure cancer. And his response is, I don't want to cure cancer. I want to make dinosaurs. Which has that panel has been memed quite a bit and spread around the internet. Elliot wrote that issue, wrote that gag. Elliot was also the head writer for, I believe, the second season of Mystery Science Theater 3000 for Netflix, as well as some other cartoons. He had a short-lived Fox cartoon that he wrote for, and various other things. Elliot's a good dude. I do know him. He is an old-school New York comedy person that I knew, especially we had a bunch of mutuals. Elliot Kalin. It is funny to me that Elliot Kalin is that. This is I think can be an anecdote that we can appreciate, that you might appreciate too. Because sometimes, sometimes you're critical of a thing, like you talk some shit about a thing, and then you'll see people being like, "Well, you must never want to work in Hollywood," or, "Oh, well, if your boss heard about this, like blah blah blah," and people say that shit. That shit doesn't mean anything. Elliot Kalin, for I think 10 years, has done a bad movie podcast, including talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. And they didn't like Ghostbusters Afterlife. And still, Elliot Kalin, executive producer and showrunner for a Ghostbusters cartoon with one of the other EVPs, is the guy who wrote and directed that movie. So, it doesn't fucking matter. That shit doesn't matter. This is a great example of how that shit does not fucking matter. I am a smaller example of that, of course. We've talked about this before, how one of the members of Penny Arcade has me blocked on Twitter, but for years and years and years, I performed at PAX because, of course, they're just the figureheads of PAX. But at the same time, if they told the guy who runs PAX, hey, we don't like this dude, then that would probably happen. But that hasn't happened because it doesn't fucking matter that fucking Mike didn't like a tweet I made where I said, hey, maybe you shouldn't fucking tweet so much. You probably, at the time that he was saying some really fucking transphobic nonsense. And I was like, maybe you shouldn't tweet so often. And I got blocked for that shit, which is whatever, sure. But it's very funny to me that I did so many panels at PAX, several of which with my goddamn name in it, in the title. This is very funny. I did a panel called Pat Bear's Anime Club with no repercussions. Because what does he care? He doesn't know who I am. But it's just very funny because people will be like, oh, well, it's like, oh, you don't want to say stuff because it's going to mess up you, other people or whatever. It's like, yeah. I do have a friend that worked for Mad TV towards the end of Mad TV, and she had talked some shit about Mad TV on a message board, and she tried to get those messages erased because she didn't know if that would hurt her getting the job. And she got the job, and I do think those messages got erased, but I also always felt like there's no, you're one of millions of people to talk shit about Mad TV. I think you're okay, but I do think that she was just worried. All right, I got to put a stripe on here. But yeah, you'll be fine. Okay, I wanted to talk about Patreon. Patreon.com/now. I want to talk to you about Patreon and what's going on with it. So, Patreon has you can go to their website and you can subscribe to people. If you are unaware of what Patreon is, I will tell you very briefly what's going on with Patreon. You can go to Patreon and you can subscribe to somebody. You can enter your payment information. Just under spicy. It's not super complicated. It just has a lot of stickers. And also the instruction booklet is from 2009. So it is, It does not have a lot of English words, but it's probably a step up from my previous kits that I've done, but that's okay. And also, I'm doing these stickers because it'll look better, but I always said don't. I used to just, when I started doing this on stream, I would only do the eye stickers and I wouldn't do any other stickers because I didn't really care. Now I try to do all of them because I'm better at applying stickers than I used to be. But it is what it is. So Patreon, you can, subscribe at a tier. You pay a monthly fee. Now, mine is $1, $3, $5, or $10. I have different tiers. They've gotten rid of the $1 tier for a lot of people, but I'm grandfathered in because I've been doing this for a long time, long enough. But whatever, you pay for it and it's fine, right? And they have an app for Android. They've got the website. They've got an iOS app. And here's the thing. The Google Play Store, and Apple, they want their cut. You may not know this. This might not be a thing that you've come across because you don't subscribe to things through the app. But Patreon, for a while there, had some sort of agreement with Apple where you could just sign up to PayPal, or through PayPal or through your credit card. You could, in the app, you could go use their not great app. So let's be real. Go use their app and you could, subscribe to somebody and you would just be paying that fee and you would not be paying anything extra. Now, apparently that goodwill deal that Apple had with Patreon is over. And now one of two things could have happened. One thing is going to be happening starting in November. One of two things would have happened. The 30% would have been eaten by Patreon. And we don't know numbers because Patreon won't tell us. They say a lot of interactions happen on the app, that the iOS app is great for interactions. That could be thumbs up. That could be comments. That could be subscriptions. We don't know because Patreon doesn't release that information because they don't have to. But what does it say? So they could have eaten that 30%, and we don't know how many that would have been. That would have been bad for them. That would have been bad for investors. That would have been terrible for investors because they would have lost access to revenue. The other option, the one they're going with, is if you want to subscribe to someone on through Apple, through the iOS app, you will have to use the App Store, and it will cost you more because they're pushing the extra cost onto you. And I guess, sometimes if you're buying something, you're going to buy, bucks for something, you're going to buy whatever. It's fine. But on a monthly subscription, that's terrible because it means that every month you are going to be paying more. Now, there is a third option they could have done, which is to say, you put a thing in there where if you go to subscribe to somebody on Patreon, a thing will come up saying, we can't do this and we're sorry. And some businesses do that. They just say, we're not going to do it. Sorry, you can't do that. They won't say, because we don't want to pay money or you would have to pay more. They just say, you can't do it. So you would have to go into even if you want to do it on your phone, you want to go to Firefox or Safari or something, or Chrome on the browser, and you want to do it through that, you could do it through that. That's an option. Patreon did not do that. So starting November, it's going to cost more, and it's going to cost more on a monthly basis to do that. Lord Crash says, Patreon doesn't seem like a platform that fits mobile that well based on what I see mostly used for. You're right. But again, they're a publicly traded company with people that want to see exponential growth. And iOS is popular. Apps are popular. Patreon has been doing several things that always seem very foolish until you recognize they're a public traded company that wants to have exponential growth in a market that doesn't support that. Which is the idea of premieres and chat. Who the fuck is going to be chatting on Patreon when a video premieres on Patreon? That is that there is probably some amount of people for whom that is a benefit and a cool feature. The majority of people use Patreon like a tip jar, or they use it as a payment service. But they don't use it the way that Patreon wants them to use it, which is, of course, a social media hub. That's what Patreon wants. Patreon wants the website, patreon.com, or the app through Google, or the app through Android, or the app through Apple, to be a hub, a destination. They want you to spend a lot of time there, because then maybe you'll subscribe to other people, forgetting the fact that they are very much aware that the number of people that join new Patreons, that become patrons on Patreon via Patreon, is incredibly low. Unbelievably low. You hear about Patreon from other websites like Twitter or Tumblr or Co-host or Facebook, because you're following, or Instagram, and you follow a link, and you don't follow that link to the app, you follow it to a web page, and then you sign up. So again, if you want to join my Patreon, don't do it through the iOS app. That is going to be new people. It will not be retroactive. It theoretically could end up being retroactive. Right now, it looks like it isn't going to be retroactive, so which is great news. But who the fuck knows? Let's see. Is there anything else I haven't said? Oh yeah. Okay. So Patreon was like, hey, they're telling us if we didn't do this, they would delist the app, which is not true. Apple doesn't want what their current deal with Patreon is, which is that they just exist and can ignore everything. And of course, Apple will say, oh, well, we don't want these third-party, like Apple says, like, Patreon must switch to its billing system or risk removal because they don't want to use unsupported third-party billing options. Unsupported third-party billing options is what Apple says. Do you know what that is? PayPal, credit cards used from CC Bill. That's what they're talking about. When they say, I saw that people do sub per creation option will not be able to do that due to Apple changeover. Lord Crashington, again, that is a lie from Patreon. Do not worry about that. That's a fucking Patreon lie. They would not have to do that, except Patreon has been wanting to do that forever. That is, Patreon hates that. Patreon hates you buying per creation, because what if you don't make a creation? Then they don't get a cut. Then there's just people in the system. Lord Crashington, unfortunately, Patreon is just using this as an excuse to do two things that they've been wanting to do forever. They want to get rid of pay on the first. Everybody pays on the first. Because they want everyone to switch to the model of rolling, which they have now. I have that, and it's fine. Some people were grandfathered in, and they're getting rid of that grandfather in because they hate that. It used to be that if you subscribed to a Patreon for the first time, you paid on the first. You paid when you joined, and you paid on the first. So if you joined on the 29th of a month, you paid again on the first, which sucked for some people. But for other people, the first was when they were doing all their processing. You were paying for a whole month. And so you could cancel at any time, and you would still have the time, but it was on the first. And that was their choice. And they didn't want to do that, because what does that mean? Well, it means if it's the 29th and you hear about this cool Patreon, you're like, well, that seems neat. That seems like something I would want to get on board with, but I don't want to pay $8 now and $8 again on the first. So I'll do that later. And maybe you wouldn't do that. Patreon hates that because it's lost revenue for Patreon. So they're getting rid of that. They're also getting rid of the per creator thing, which they could totally do. They could 100% do per creation and give Apple their cut. But they don't like per creation. They want you on a monthly basis, because if I stopped streaming today, I'm not. But if today I decided I'm not going to stream for a month, I'm taking like 30 days off, I'm not going to stream. I could go into Patreon and say, hey, you don't have to pay because I'm not giving you anything. If it was per creation, I could say I didn't do anything. Now, I could turn off billing for a month if I want to do that, and then no one has to pay. But they don't want that. They want me to disappear, and for you, on the day that your monthly rollover comes in, on the 1st or the 15th or whatever, on the 26th, they want to charge you because they want their cut. So they don't want the per creation thing, because the per creation thing is easier to say, actually, I'm not going to do that this month. It's a lot of bullshit that I just went through there. But again, should Apple be charging this huge percentage? Probably not. You're still using iOS. You're still in there. Them getting a cut for things they have nothing to do with feels really shitty and shady. I don't love it, but at the same time, that is how they operate. Patreon, unfortunately, is a very good. It's still very good at doing what it was designed for, which is allowing people to give other people money for goods and services, or as a tip to continue to do their art. And there are not that many good replacements. And even if there are good replacements, unfortunately, a big element to it is that moving people from one service to another is a nightmare. I should also say, if you want to subscribe to like YouTube Premium through your YouTube app on Apple, you got to pay more money than I would pay through the website. On Android, they don't do that because they know it, because Google owns YouTube. So Google doesn't care about that, because they know they're going to make money. They got you anyway. You're paying it, so it's fine. They don't have to charge themselves money. There are exceptions to this, which was the first option that we mentioned that Patreon does not want to do, which is to eat the cost. Do you know who eats the cost? Dropout. Dropout is a streaming service. It is was originally the paid streaming service that was operated by College Humor when College Humor was up for sale and was purchased by Sam Reich, who was, of course, executive producer of many things there. When he was able to buy it out, he eventually dropped the College Humor name to just focus on the Dropout name, because the website didn't really exist anymore. It just didn't make any sense. They went with Dropout full time. Dropout is $6 a month, and they lose money they lose out on money if you do it through their iOS app. And why do they do that? Well, on the one reason is because if they didn't have an app, or if they didn't have ways for you to become a member on the app, if you had to go to a website to do it, they would lose you. So they would lose all money on you, probably. And the other reason is because they know how important having that app is to people, because they are watching videos on their phones or on their iPads. They have recognized that it is probably for the best interest of them to just eat that loss, because people don't know. And they don't want to put a thing in there like, hey, if you want to, become a member, go over here and do this and sign up on our website instead. Instead, they're just eating that cost, because that's because they Dropout doesn't advertise places. They are a word of mouth business, and their subscription numbers are ridiculously consistent. Generally, people don't join Dropout, watch a bunch of stuff, and then cancel Dropout. A lot of times people stick around, and that may change over time, but right now that is what's going on with Dropout, is that people jump in and stick around and check out other things, and then there's a big backlog and they stick around. Yeah, and again, here's the thing. It's not, the barrier entry is low for that, but it's still like fucking rough out there. So again, there are ways to go about it. There are deals to be made. At the end of the day, I still have a Patreon. It's very funny that yesterday I was like, hey, because yesterday I had somebody drop from the $10 tier to the $5 tier. And I am now the lowest money on a monthly basis I have been on Patreon in quite some time. So I made a tweet about posted on socials like, hey, I got this Patreon, check it out, see if there's a tier that makes sense for you. And I said that mostly because they're like, if somebody wants to jump in on that, it'd be great. Sorry, I have to find the stickers that I need. This is like the secondary head because this kit has a transformation. And so I need to make sure that I am doing the right symbol here. I think is this. That doesn't look right for what this piece is. So I'm telling myself that that's a head sticker probably, right? No, no, I don't know. Is it this one? We got a swoop. Not this one. That's is it this one? It's this one. Okay, great. I figured it out. Sorry, everybody. There it is. The symbol that I was looking for was in a weird space for where it was. But anyway, yeah. So, the big thing is in general. Now, it's funny because I just heard someone talking about how they manage their subscriptions for various services through Apple because Apple makes it very easy through on the iOS level to cancel, and canceling subscriptions is often a pain in the ass. So if you can do it in a way that they aren't going to charge you more money if the business is eating that cost, it is maybe worth going through Apple. But I would say if you're ever looking to subscribe to something, you should check to see how pricey it is to do it on a website before you do it through Apple. You should just do your due diligence. Make sure. Lucas says, it's weird. It feels like increasingly for creative platforms, the creators are unnecessary burden they have to endure to get as much cut from the audience as possible. I mean, yeah. So, customers are always the worst part of every business. I say that as someone that has worked in retail. I say that as someone who's worked in creative fields. Customers are always the worst part of everything because sometimes they ask for things that are nonsense, or they have wants or needs or demands, and you're just like, oh, can't you just like the thing that I'm doing? Which is ridiculous, but whatever. But seemingly a lot of businesses out there really do hate the idea that they have to do anything. It seems like that they aren't just making money because they exist as an entity, and they are frustrated that they are on occasion forced to negotiate or work on something, or do the thing that they promised that they are supposed to be doing. It does feel like that quite often. Anyway, that's about it on that. Yeah, I would say don't use iOS to subscribe to a thing. Even if you want to use the app, don't subscribe to it via the app. Go to a website. Or at the very least, Google to see how much the thing is and make sure that you are not paying too much fucking money for the thing. We are almost done with this chest, which again is kind of convoluted because of the transformation mode in it. So I'm guessing that Twitch wishes the small streamers that barely get numbers and subs would disappear. No, actually, Lord Crashington, because one thing that Patreon doesn't have that they wish they had was a minimum. And Twitch does. Twitch. So here's the thing. Streaming costs too much money, right? And if no one's watching ads, that's bad. But you know what? Low-level streamers who are affiliates, you know what they have? A tiny bit of money. And that tiny bit of money just sits there. And Twitch keeps getting their cut of that tiny bit of money. And then it takes some people a long time to get to $50 because that's the minimum. It's $50 unless you want there's a money transfer, I believe, is $100. But everything else is $50. So if you want to get paid, you've got to hit that minimum. And if you don't hit that minimum, you don't get that money out. So Twitch still makes money off of you, and they don't have to give that money. Now, does Twitch wish that years ago it upped the subscription costs? Sure. I'm sure that they wish that years ago they made it more expensive so that they could make it even more expensive now because they kept it at $5 for an incredibly long time. I bet they wish they had changed that sooner. But they didn't. So now they got to, deal with all this. So yeah, so here is the other head on this kit that looks like a backpack until it transforms and becomes a different part of this kit. And then I need to do 2 poly caps here, and then I need to panel line all of this backpack. So we are almost done with all of the chest here. So almost done with the chest. But yeah, I mean, it's all rough. Speaking of subscriptions, this is a short little story. I don't have much to say about this. This was on Kotaku. Do you want to subscribe to Chuck E. Cheese? What? You don't? There's no reason to? Well, you can. Amidst rising costs, our goal was to offer great value and develop an easy, fun solution for everyone. We understand families are struggling to find affordable entertainment options outside the home right now, so instead they want to have the Fun Pass, a new monthly subscription. 3 tiers, bronze through gold, start at $8 a month. They get you 40 free arcade games and 20% off pizza, drinks, and extra games. At the end, at the top is the Gold Pass for $30 a month. That includes 250 free games and 50% off additional purchases. And of course, they're all ticket machine games. Most of their video games are just ticket games to get you to pay more money and all that. Let's see. One not so small wrinkle is that, hey, here's a fun thing. Here's a fun thing they added. You can't cancel it for a year. Chuck E. Cheese monthly memberships may be canceled anytime after the first 12 months. So you sign up so you can't sign up for a month so that you could have a fun pizza party for someone's birthday and then be like, yeah, we spent $8 for that and we got a bunch of stuff and we spent extra money but we got all discount and all that. No. You're paying for a fucking year. And then when it's time to cancel, we make it fast and easy with just a few clicks as long as it's been a fucking year. Yes, Dirty, it's a fucking annual pass. You get charged monthly for your annual pass. Also, hi, Dirty. That is remarkably fucking shady. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, we're going to panel line the chest here. We're going to start with some gray. There's not a lot to panel on this, but we'll get some stuff in there because there's a lot of stickers. But we'll hit the spots that we need to hit and then clean it all up with the gray marker. We're going to take a pause for the cause in a couple of minutes to talk about ways you can support the channel and all of that good stuff. But first, I'll just do some panel lining here. But yeah, it is an annual pass to Chuck E. Cheese, where a kid can be a kid. Play some skee ball. Jesus effing Christ. Yeah. Chuck E. Cheese. Annual pass to get into drunken fights with other parents. Yeah. Well, hey, this isn't a Dave and Buster's. It's Chuck E. Cheese. Lord Crashton wants me to dance button, and I will. Hold on. Here we go. Here's the dance button. Thank you for using your channel points for the dance button. Ooh. Ooh. Boom. Bam, 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 bam. Boo-doo, boo. Boo-doo-doo, boo. Test out that back. Yeah, thanks, Lord Crashington. As mentioned, if you weren't here at the top of the stream, my back was giving me some problems this weekend. I ended up cutting the stream a little early. Not that much early, just a couple minutes early on Saturday. I am feeling better, but then, of course, doing all these stretches to kind of relieve some pressure in the back and help me out. I do believe that in the process of doing that, I did pull a muscle in my thigh. And so I was walking around kind of in a daze because of that, which is fun. It's very fun for me. So fun. I should probably... Yeah, I'm going to pop this out so I can do this here. I should have done this. I mean, there's not a lot of it that needs the gray here, but I should have done this sooner. All right. We'll do that, and then we'll switch over to the black marker. Then we'll clean all this up. But yeah, second hour, we're going to talk about 2 anime when we do some panel lining and such. And then we'll talk about what y'all have been up to and all that in the second hour of the stream. That's the goal anyway. Yeah, and then we'll go back to watching some DDT versus GCW, which I was watching before the stream started. And I'll go watch the rest later on Wrestle Universe. Happened last night. Flash this morning. All right. Put that on there. Put that on there. There we go. All right. And we'll just get this part done. Then we'll take a pause for the cause, talk about ways you can support the channel, all that. And then we'll get back into hitting all of this good stuff with a marker. Making it all look nice. We'll have to do more panel lining and also do some stuff with the eraser. All right. Now is the part of the stream where I'm going to talk to you. That's right, you, the viewer, about ways that you can support the channel and what I do here. Everything I'm about to talk to you is optional. You don't have to do any of these things. But if you would like to do some of these things and help me out financially, you can. Again, these are optional. First and foremost, if you are currently a subscriber to the Baer Workshop, you can throw the Bear Cave, the Lego, the Scythe emote, and the Tier 2 Blue emote. Being a subscriber is the easiest way to support what I do here through Cash Money, using your Prime Gaming token. If you have Amazon Prime linked with your Twitch, you get that token. You can use it for anybody. If you want to use it for me, that would be great. You can also gift a sub. Lashbrook gifted a sub this month, which is great. If you also would like to gift a sub, that would be cool. You could do it anonymously, or you get you could do it, and we all know, and you join the gift sub leaderboard. There is a promotion happening through the 19th that if you gift a sub, or you become a subscriber for the first time in any channel, you will get Apple TV Plus. So if you are new to here and you want to become a subscriber and get Apple TV Plus for 3 months, or if you want to gift a sub and do that, you could. Bits and coins are always appreciated. If you want to join the cheerleader board, you could do that. Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way, is just coming right through here if you wanted to do that. There are other ways to support what I do here. We talked about it tonight. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/PatBaer. There's a $1, $3, $5, and $10 tier. Before November, if you want to join me on Patreon, do it through the website, not through the iOS app, because you'll just get charged too much money for that. Yeah, get over on the Patreon, patreon.com/PatBear, $1, $3, $5, and $10 tier. Different rewards for different tiers. Consider joining me on Patreon. Also, I do just want to real quick say, I won't talk about too much. My $10 tier is when I'm going to my backlog to pick out a kit to build, my $10 patrons get to vote on what I should build. I put up a poll for them. I have lost a $10 patron, which means your vote will go even farther because there aren't a lot of people to decide. So you're a very exclusive club of people that they can decide. I break ties. If ties are presented, I break them. But otherwise, you can get in on that if you want to get in on that. I also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/PatBear. Over on my YouTube channel, if you want to become a member over there, subscribing is free. Becoming a member is $2 a month, and you get my Wednesday videos on Tuesday. So tomorrow, you'll get a video before other people get to see it as I continue my chillest slice of lives month by talking about a fantastic, silly series that, again, will be out tomorrow. But you should subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's see. If you want to support me, those are all monthly ways to support me. If you would like to hit a tip, just on occasion, do something like that, you could go through my PayPal or my Ko-Fi. And everything I make through direct donations through YouTube, which includes AdSense, so watching my videos helps me out, through Patreon and through Twitch, all goes through a fund. And from that fund, I pull out model kits to build. I buy model kits with money from that. We just finished up the Gelgoog that came off me purchasing that with your generosity. Very kind if you wanted to do that. So yeah, being a subscriber to various places helps me out. Now, the kit I'm currently working on that we just started tonight, the Reborns Gundam, I am building that because it was purchased off my Amazon wish list. So it jumped the queue, it got its own dedicated YouTube video, and now it's the next thing that I'm building. And you could buy something off my wish list, and it, again, would jump the queue and be the next thing that I build. I've got model kits, I got Lego sets, I've got inexpensive kits, I got some small little kits that are that won't take long to build, all the way up to kits that are incredibly expensive and ridiculous and are on there because I get notifications if they drop in price, so I put them up there. But I got a bunch of stuff. See if there's something there that you'd like to see me build. I've got like one thing that's on there that I do want to point out again because it is cool is I have on the wish list the Lego City Space Explorer Rover and Alien Life, which is a very cool Lego set that's up there that looks just so cool. It's part of the Space Anniversary. It is a 6-wheel rover, and it just looks really neat. So I put that up there to see, if you want to buy that for me to build it, you could do that if you wanted to. You don't have to. I got to go through and organize these by price because some of them are have dropped in price or becoming more expensive or whatever. There's some gear at the bottom if you want to help me out without spending too much money because it's always nice sometimes to have some gear. So yeah, see if there's something there you'd like to see me put together on stream, and it'll jump to queue because that's the least I could do. My alternative to that is Throne. It's nice to have an alternative to Amazon because some people just don't want to shop with Amazon, and I fucking get it. Totally understand. Throne's pretty cool. And then also the most convoluted way to support me financially, if you wanted to, the wildest, weirdest way to support me is to go to USA Gundam Store. You buy a gift card. They will send you an email with the gift card code. Then you send me a whisper on Twitch or a DM on Twitter or a DM on Blue Sky or Mastodon with that gift card code. And I will use that gift card code to buy something from USA Gundam Store. Simple as that. It's that easy. So yeah, see if there's something there. If you want to support me, but you can't spend any money, I fucking get it. You don't even, forget can't, you just don't want to. Sure. I have a Discord that I post build photos at the end of every stream. People post stuff they're working on. Let me get that copied and pasted over here. Sorry about that. Check out the Discord. See if you want to jump in there. Love to have you there. Couple video links for you to check out before we get back into shenanigans. Pat Bear's Anime Club. I will have a new episode up next week, but the current episode of Pat Bear's Anime Club that is out there is my recommendations for this current season. I recommend 4 anime shows you should check out. So watch that video if you're looking for some stuff to pick up and watch. Also, Kuma Baer. I gotta talk to you about Kuma Baer. Kuma Baer is my weekly anime recommendation series where every week I recommend something that I just like really want you to check out. This was my excuse to talk about Non Non Biyori. Non Non Biyori is on High Dive. It is a chill slice of life. This month I'm talking about all bangers, cute, fun shows, occasional real moments, but mostly just like easy breezy shows. 3 seasons and a movie of Non Non Biyori, a fantastic series that you should check out. One of my personal favorites of all time. Just an adorable show. You've probably seen animated GIFs of it, particularly Renge, the precocious one. A lovely little series that you should check out. And again, it's over. It's done. They animated all of it. They did 3 seasons. They did a movie. It's there. It exists. It's all on High Dive. The 3rd season's also on Crunchyroll because there was a brief period where High Dive and Crunchyroll had a partnership. And so there's some stuff that's like only this season. But like not all of it. That's the same case for like Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon and like a couple other shows that are High Dive shows that for a while were on Crunchyroll and now are only on High Dive. It's a whole fucking thing. All right, I'm going to talk about some anime that I have been watching. Before I do that, I will dramatically transition back to the overhead camera, but I also need to drink some water, and we're going to do those things right now. All right. This goddamn episode of My Dear Friend Nokotan. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, so it's called the Summer Deer Festival. So instead of having a summer festival with stuff, it's going to focus on the deer. Right? It doesn't really, but it does. So it opens with the narrator, this is episode 6, being like, hey, you know, thanks so much for supporting My Dear Friend Nokotan. Thanks for watching the show. We want to reward you, the viewers. So it's breaking the fourth wall. Narrator is aware that there are people watching it, that this is a show. Sure. Please enjoy 18 mini episodes. But don't worry about it. And then we cut away to the Deer Club. Nokotan is doing tricks for Koshi, just doing some deer tricks. And Koshi recognizes, oh shit, we are out of money. The Deer Club is basically out of funds, and that bums her out. Nokotan's just like, just sell my antlers. I keep telling you that's the way to go, is to sell my antlers. Then Nokotan is sad that, again, this is just a series of short gags. We just got a bunch of short gags here. Nokotan is sad that a deer magazine is being suspended, so she's very upset about that. And then Nokotan confronts Koshi because Nokotan is like, I got an idea. I want to sell body pillows. And I made a prototype of it. Koshi messes with it, and she does not say, yes, we should do that. So then Nokotan's like, let's sell Deer Club t-shirts instead, which actually is honestly not a bad idea. Because Koshi's like, yeah, all right, we can do that. And Nokotan tries on one, but the way she puts it on is visually weird because of her antlers and the whole thing. And then Koshi's just like, I don't want to do anything with this. There's a whole comedic back and forth there and some weird goofs. Lots of visual stuff at that point. We cut to Koshi trying to drink boba tea. But the straw is actually an antler and not a straw. And then that was a prank from Nokotan. And then there is a gag where Koshi, Anko, Bashime, Nokotan doing some goofs. And then there's another one with a shopping show, like a home shopping network, and the antler case, a new case for your antlers. It again, just weird visual gags and like weird like TV spoofs. Again, just a bunch of weird little spots. I wrote down a lot of this. I didn't write down everything because it was very fast paced and nonsense, but enjoyable. In this case, it was like, hey, and then Nokotan fucks up and says the price is 2,980 yen instead of 29,800 yen. And they're talking about it to try to convince people to buy the stuff. Then we cut to Neko turning off the TV and mad that they're promoting something on a home shopping network. We cut away to the other members of the student council. Let's see. Kinu notices that Chikaru has purchased an antler product from Nokotan. And she's also bought stuff from the home shopping network from Notsu Notsu. And then gives Kinu one of the antlers. And then apparently Neko is observing them and she's very confused with what's happening because one of them likes the other one, but the other one really likes deer and has a big, I think, crush on Nokotan. There's a lot going on. Neko ends up buying one of Nokotan's sealed case antlers. And then we cut away to them walking. And Koshi looking at some cute stuff, but not having the money for it. And then both Bashime and Nokotan saying that Koshi's cuter than those things. And then a bunch of silly, quick little gags and people yelling at each other and a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. All right, we're going to work on the head while I continue to talk about this episode that was fast-paced and weird, in my opinion, in a good way. But working on the head. We did the chest, including... This is the transformation head, and I keep putting it where the head goes. I've done this twice now. That's not where this head goes because this kit is, right now anyway, this is the transformed gun cannon head, and that goes on the back. I keep doing it out of habit. I keep putting it in the wrong place. All right, so I need A5, and there will be a tiny sticker to put on A5, so I got to do that in a second here. I need A5, and I'm going to need A23, which is here. Okay. And I got to put an eye sticker on here, but I'm going to put this on first because that makes my life easier to do. All right, and then where the red meets the ridge there, that is where the sticker will go. So let me figure that out. That is this symbol here. I mean, here's the thing. I don't really know what the symbol is. There's only one thing that looks like an eye sticker on here. So you just pop that up and out. That's going to go on here. Later, Nokotan is covered in weird white spots, and Koshi is wondering if maybe Nokotan ate something bad. But no, don't worry about it. Nokotan doesn't eat things off the ground. Nokotan only eats deer crackers that she finds in the ground. Apparently, she is suffering from something called rice blast disease. And the narrator explains it. Apparently, it is somewhat of a real thing, although probably not in this context, but is apparently a real thing that she has. And of course, Nokotan misunderstands and goes, "Oh yeah, I'm a rice plant. Got it." It's not what it is. And they're like, "No, you're a deer, I think. But anyway, you should probably get cured." Nokotan's like, "I'm going to leave. And then also Sonata shows up, and Sonata also has similar white spots. Anko is like, I think you're molding, or molting, I should say, not molding. You're molting, which I was like, I don't get that. I don't know where that's coming from. This character is weird, but I don't think she's dumb, and that is, felt like a very dumb thing to say. But okay, sure. Let's see. So that's happening. Nokotan's horn got purchased. Um, Apparently Nokotan, but I said it seemed weird, but apparently Nokotan has shed before, and they throw away the old skin, which is very weird. And then they go out, and the narrator's like, nothing weird happened. Don't worry about it, which is very strange. So Neko, who is the vice president of the student council, has been trying to destroy the Deer Club because she wants to ruin the image that everyone has of Koshi. And so she's trying to destroy the club. And so she wants an update from the other members of the student council. And Kinu's like, I have nothing to report. I never agreed to destroying the Deer Club. I don't know what you're talking about. And then Nokotan shows up, and Nokotan is just like, hey, I have this weird friend. It's a Tsuchinoko. And they're like, that's not what that is. But they do name it and try feeding it. So Suchi does not want to eat anything that Nokotan is providing that Nokotan likes. And then, okay, well, then Nokotan's like, you don't want to eat anything I'm offering you. Then, okay, I definitely screwed up. You are not the animal that I thought you were, or the mythological creature that I thought you were. You're something else. Let's see, I need A30. A30, great. Suchi eats chalk. And then turns out Neko immediately bonds with Suchi. They just get along. Koshi comes in and she's just like, everything feels very weird right now. And the episode ends with the narrator saying that the student council and the Deer Club are going to raise Suchi together. This episode was fucking fast-paced and weird. I don't think it was like, it wasn't 18 mini episodes, but it was a whole lot of gags and a lot of jumping around. It was just like a lot was fucking going on in this episode. And that is to say, I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed what was happening here. I like this series. It is very chaotic. It is sometimes hard for me to properly, like, my notes sometimes are just like, and that happened, and I don't know if it was a joke, it was a one-off joke, or if it was setting up the next thing. And oftentimes it is setting up the next thing, and I was just unaware and caught off guard. We got one tiny piece here that is clear. I'm going to have to pop out here. Hold on. Okay. That is very tiny. It's going to go over there. And then I need A15. I should be able to find pretty easily. There it is, yeah. I am going to panel line this head before I put on the V-fin front. Yeah, so I'm going to panel line it, and then I will come back, put those on, and then touch up the panel lining, because that's a lot easier. But yeah, this series is fucking weird as hell, and this episode was weird as hell, but I liked it a lot. I also have a sticker I got to put on, which is, and I'll have another sticker that goes on there. Okay. That sticker is this one. Makes sense. Camera sticker. But yeah, this show is just all over the place and very weird. But I really, really like it. Complete nonsense. All right. Now I'm going to get you caught up on I Parry Everything. This is a show on High Dive. If you missed me talking about this show before, the premise of this one is our main character can only parry. His only skill he ever learned. He's been a guy training to be an adventurer for years and years and years. He is incredibly strong, and his parry skill is unbelievable. And he does not have confidence in himself. At the end of the last episode, he fought his first goblin, and he was like, oh man, I need help to beat that goblin. I'm nowhere near as strong as I need to be. That goblin was a goblin emperor. Most people haven't seen it. It is ridiculous that he was able to fight it at all. But again, he has self-confidence issues. He also has a big, cool sword that he is using. That is a sword that is ridiculous that he can even wield it. Also, a high-ranking noble, or I think maybe she's the princess. I can't know. High-ranking noble is following her around because she is convinced that he is very strong and she can learn from him. Rain has starting to believe that the Darius Empire. They have sent a lot of the weird shit that's been happening, that they are behind it, including some assassins, and also probably summoned that emperor, the Goblin Emperor. So Norn, Ines, and Lynn, who's a high-ranking adventurer. Ines is the girl that wants to hang out with Nor and learn from Nor. They get sent to the Taurus Mountains. But that's actually subterfuge, because the idea is they want to get the princess, Lynn. That's right, princess. They want to get Lynn the ability to escape to a friendly nation. Ines talks about discovering her power of the Holy Shield as a kid and being trained to use it by her foster father. And apparently, this guy would always be talking about somebody who was a really strong guy, and it always made her jealous. And that person was Nor. Nor, our main character. She used to always hear about how cool Nor was, and it really made her jealous of him. Which, of course, our guy doesn't think that she's talking about him. And now that she's met him, she's still very jealous of his natural talent in defense. Monsters are attacking the city, in the mountains. Sorry. They left the city. Monsters show up and start attacking it while they're out in the mountains. And Nor runs across a Black Death dragon, which is just like a unbelievably decent looking animated dragon. Surprisingly decently looking. This dragon is being controlled by a boy who is a member of the demon race, the demon folk. And Ines considers him an enemy because all demon folk are enemies to them, to humans, for a long time. But Nor doesn't care about that stuff. Nor sees a kid who loses control of this dragon, and assumes that so Nor starts fighting the dragon, and we learn after that Nor doesn't know that that's a dragon. Because you're like, how is this guy who thinks that he's not that skilled fighting with a dragon? He thinks it's a big fucking frog because he's just a nice, naive dumbass. The dragon has poison, and Nor is affected by that. Ines stops Lynn from trying to help. And that is just like, oh, okay, instead of being, kind of gets the lesson, again, this is all in one episode, instead of being so jealous of him, she should strive to be more like him. But yeah, Nor can deflect a bunch of stuff and is very strong and has great skills, but apparently poison breath can still affect him negatively, which is like, yeah, it would be weird if it didn't affect him. So apparently, we get some backstory in episode. That was episode 5. I'm just kind of going through this briefly, getting you caught up in there. That was episode 5. Wait, where did that clear? Where did that clear piece? There it is. Great. It's a little hard to see a tiny clear piece, but it's right there. I'm going to put this part on here. I'm going to clean this up, put that on there, and we're almost done with the head, which is great. And then we go to the weapons, which again is weird. The late 2000s is a weird time for model kits. They had some weird ideas about where various parts should go. Strange stuff, but sure, we'll do it. Put on the beef in here. That. And then the clear piece that goes over it. Clear piece is on there. Everything's in place. And now I'll just hit this with some gray. And we'll be done with the head, which came together a lot easier than the rest of it. Anyway, episode 6, we turn out the boy, the demon, who is commanding this dragon. He has been mistreated his whole life just because he is a demon. And he was offered his freedom in exchange for using his abilities to attack the kingdom. This is again from the empire that they're currently fighting against. They're probably fighting against. But he's lost control of the dragon, and he doesn't understand why Nor, is helping him because they're strangers. And Nor, even though he's poisoned, uses healing magic that he has to try to help the boy. Because, hey, turns out we learned via flashback that one time Nor accidentally poisoned himself and then did it repeatedly because he didn't die, and he gained an immunity to poisons, or at least poison resistance. Nor, in his special overpowered body, poisons don't really affect him that much. So he's actually okay. He traps the dragon's mouth shut with a parry, and then the gas. Because his mouth is shut, this dragon was going to roar out more poison breath. Instead, chain reaction, dragon explodes. Mission accomplished. The boy is like trying to confess what he did of like the dragon, but Noir is just like, misunderstands and assumes that, because again, I must remind you, he thinks that's a giant fucking frog. And he's like, oh, you must have been bringing it to the kingdom to sell it. Which is awesome that you have ability to control that. That's so cool. I'm sure the kingdom would really like to know about your ability. Lin doesn't trust the kid, but Ines kind of puts two and two together. Is like, this is obviously a slave being used as a child soldier. Like, this is clearly, this kid does not have ill intent. So Lin says, we're going to take the boy. We learned the boy's name is Rollo. We're going to take Rollo with them, even though demon folk can't enter the place they're going to. And then a strange looking dude shows up, which we will deal with in episode 7. So this show, like I said this before, I parry everything. To enjoy this show, you have to get over one thing. You have to be okay with one thing, which is just how fucking dumb our main character is. Likeably dumb. He is not an idiot. He just misunderstands a lot of things, including his own strength. And if that does not sound fun to you, or that sounds like you would hate that over time, then this is not the series from you. I can get past it. Yeah, he's just like I said, there's no way in his mind he could defeat a dragon, so he assumed it was a giant frog because it had a poison breath, and he's dealt with frogs before. Because when it started attacking him, he was easily able to parry it, and he wouldn't be able to easily parry a dragon, a death dragon. There's no way. So it's just like a lot of like leaps of logic that he has and confusions, like assuming this kid was coming to sell this giant frog. Like what? Why would he make that leap of logic instead of what the truth was, that they were attacking? It's like, I don't know, but that's what happened. That's where this kid's head's at, or this guy's head's at. So like, yeah, if that stuff bothers you, the fact that like he defeated a knight and he was like, oh yeah, I mean, you were clearly going easy on me, when that knight was like struggling and was pissed off because he was like, what? No, you were winning. Yeah, he doesn't. Or again, in episode 4, he defeats a goblin emperor, one of the, like, a thing that should be impossible. And he's like, ah, man, my first goblin. He's never seen a goblin before. So he thinks that emperor was just a regular goblin. He was like, I needed help to defeat a goblin. It's like, no, you didn't, my guy. You're way too strong. But yeah, if that stuff like just doesn't hit you in the right way, which I can understand if it doesn't, then yeah, that's not the series for you. I enjoy it. I have a good time with it. I think that series is fun. Speaking of fun, I want to hear what's going on with y'all. What are you up to? What are you into? What are you playing right now? Are you watching anything? I want to, I want to, in the movies. I want to hear from you. I'd like to know what's going on with y'all. I have been prepping for tomorrow's stream. Pat watches wrestling. Pat watches anime is an everyday thing. Pat watches wrestling, which will be happening tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on this very channel. I've got some old wrestling that should not get any takedowns because it is old stuff from companies that don't care, or who knows what's going on. Chat watches Pat watching it. No, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to stream it, so I guess that's how it would work. But no, yeah, it's my watching wrestling stream. I give context. I do some live commentary over some of the things that are happening. I do my best to make it an entertaining stream. I hope you will enjoy it. Please come hang out if you would like to. We would love to have you there. So I've been prepping for that and watching some stuff and getting some stuff ready for that. As mentioned earlier, my back was bothering me. So Sunday, I took yesterday very easy. I was just kind of trying to relax where I could. All right. We've got the shield coming up, but this is the gun. We'll panel on the gun. But yeah, I've been trying to take it pretty easy because I was just like not in the best of spirits. It's been so hot, but also it's still really rainy. I was hoping that tomorrow I could mow the lawn because front and sides and backyard all really need a mow, but it rained a little bit today, and it will probably still too wet to do it. I know some people are out there mowing, but I'm not going to do that if it's wet. So I think I might be able to do it on Wednesday or Thursday. I don't love doing it, but I got to do it. Oh, one thing I did do on Sunday is a thing that has been on my to-do list for the spring. I wrote this down. I think maybe I wrote this down in April. That's how long ago I said, this is the thing I should do. And I did it yesterday. And I'm not saying this so that you'll like pat me on the back or anything or, whatever. I'm saying this because it did not take a long time to do. So just do the thing that's been on your list. Do the thing that you need to do. I cleaned the back coils of the refrigerator. So I pulled the refrigerator out from over the wall. We do have a ice maker in there, so there's a water line, so you got to be careful of that. Pulled it in, swept and mopped the spot behind where the fridge usually is. Had to take bolts off of the back, little thumb bolts. Had to take those off. And then also there's like a heavy duty cardboard that's there with some filter stuff, and clean that off, and then use the vacuum to get on all the coils and that whole area. on the front of the fridge. Plugged the fridge back in, and the front fridge popped off the front of the bottom there. The grates there, cleaned that area. There is a water pan, made sure that looked okay. It did, it was fine. And just kind of cleaned it all up. And then also, my kitchen counter kind of comes to where the fridge is. And there's sometimes gunk gets in there. And so I cleaned that up because I had access to it. Put everything away, put everything back. Everything, plugged it back in, made sure everything worked. It took me maybe 20 minutes to do all of it, including the mopping and sweeping and stuff. And it's something I've been putting off. Again, I decided in April that I should do it after watching one too many TikToks about cleaning things. I was like, I should do that. And it took no time at all. So my advice to you, the viewers of the Build with Baer Workshop, is do the thing. It probably isn't going to take as long as you think, even if it takes longer than my project. Get your task done. You'll feel good about it. I was happy I did it. Originally, I was going to do it on Saturday, but my back had been hurting me, so I did it later on Sunday, and it worked out great. I'm glad I did it. Lord Crash says, I've been playing more Cat Quest 3 and enjoying that a lot, especially the more fleshed out side quest. We just had a doorbell ring at 10:40. That's really weird. I am not going to answer the door because I don't know why I would do that. We'll see if they ring again. But yeah, somebody just rang the doorbell at 10:40 p.m. Sorry, I heard that. It was very weird. Nice stories about the previous games had side quests that were only there to grind out more XP. Oh, that's fun. And John says, been playing more EDF 6, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Mecha Breaker. Watch Code Geass Rose of the Recapture. Oh yeah, that's coming out. I've heard not so great things about Code Geass Rose of the Recapture. I have heard some Code Geass fans being pretty disappointed with that. I am not a Code Geass person myself, so I have not watched it. Okay, the doorbell is ringing, and I guess I'm gonna fucking deal with that. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Our garage door is open because my dad came home at like 7:30 and I apparently left the garage door open. And so the person from Neighborhood Watch decided that they were going to ring the doorbell to let us know our garage door is open instead of just writing us up, which they could do. I did not close the garage door. I will be doing that in about, 10 to 15 minutes. So yeah, sorry about that, everybody. Thank you for sticking around as I had to take a quick break there because my dad is asleep and my mom is asleep and neither were going to hear the front door open. So sorry about that. But yeah, I got to put the garage door down. I didn't do it because I wanted to come back here and I was like, sure, I'll handle that. Okay. But yes, we have a neighborhood watch run by people in the neighborhood. My parents participate in such a thing. And my mom would have seen a garage door open and just wrote down the address and said, hey, they left the garage door open. Instead of doing what this gentleman did, which was ring the doorbell and then wait and then ring the doorbell again, which I would advise my parents not to do. So anyway, I'm going to put the garage door down once the stream is over. There's an HOA, there's rules, all that. We could get, a notice saying, like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, all that stuff. So I am going to put it down. I'm not going to leave it up. And for safety's sake and all that, it's a good thing because we do lock the door that goes in from the garage, but still, good thing to do that. Anyway, should have rung the doorbell and then left before you opened it up. Yes, yes, Lord Crash should have done that. John said, oh yeah, we're talking about, it says 2 episodes in, not our favorite, about Code Geass Rose of the recapture, or Rose of the recapture, whatever it is. Not your favorite. Okay, yeah. Code Geass has just never hit me. I don't know. I think I watched too many clips of it instead of just coming into it cold. If I come into it cold, I would have appreciated it. But after watching a bunch of clips, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And then I watched it, and I was like, I don't really like this. Let's work on the shield here. Lord Crashton says, I've going to see Twisters tomorrow so I can see some buildings get destroyed and people try not to get destroyed. Yeah, all right. Twisters feels like look, you all know me. I don't go to the movie theater these days. I almost never went to before pre-COVID. Wasn't really a movie theater going guy. Just not my thing. But Twisters feels like a movie theater experience. That feels like a movie you want to see, that you want to experience there. Like, that just feels like the way to watch that would be, in a theater environment. You want to have big Dolby, you want the audio experience and the visual experience and all that. Okay. B17 and B17, and there's a note here which I'm going to translate because I don't know what that note says. I just know that I need B17 and B17. This is the first of the Bs that we have used on this kit. Get that there. And then let me use Google Translate. Sorry, I was a little shook. The fact that somebody rang the doorbell instead of just writing us up, I guess, is nice. I think sure, but didn't have to. Okay, so install a Cheerion. Okay, great. Small. This was not a helpful explanation of what I'm supposed to do here. But I think it's supposed to be like that. We'll flip it the other way. Supposed to be like that. Okay, I think I know what I want. After 10 seems too late. So again, Lord Crash did it. Yes, I agree with you. I do think that this person saw our garage door was open and is like, well, that's a bad idea. I need to rectify that even if I'm waking somebody up. I don't think they made the right call. I think you just say, oh, I'm going to write this down, and then tough, and then we'll try to, we'll send a note, whatever, and then they'll have to take care of it later, instead of ringing a doorbell over a garage door being open. But some people don't lock their doors coming in from the garage. So it is, I'm sure this person thought they were being helpful, even though I don't agree. But, ooh, these pop out. Neat. But yeah, I think they assumed that they were helping me out, or helping this house out. But yeah, not thrilled by that. Oh, that's all there is for the shield. Okay, that's the shield. And then we're going to start on the whole ass arm. We can do this. We do the shoulders at the same time. So we'll do the whole shoulder and then work on the whole ass arms and stuff. But that'll be the next stream. So we can start panel lining this now. We'll use gray and black. Gray on the white. And I haven't said this out loud in a while because, we've been doing this for a long time. For gray, I like to use the gray markers. Oops, that's actually black. I said that as I was doing it wrong. I like to use the gray marker on white or a light gray or like a pink. I like to use gray on that. And then for other colors, I like to use black. Sometimes I will use brown on a red, but in this case, I'm using black on it because this kit has a lot of red to it. If there's a little bit of red, I'll like using the brown. Some people, they use brown on gold. I don't like how that looks, so I use black on gold or yellow. But it's all different choices. Some people just use black. They only use black on everything because they're going for more of a black and white comic look. So that, you know, like in that instance, I totally understand why some people use just black, but I like to use gray on the lighter things there because I think it's just like not as harsh. It can be a little harsh the other way. So we're just gonna put some lines on here and do all that. But I haven't said that out loud, so it's always nice to do it because there's always somebody new to the stream or hasn't heard me talk about it. For that, you may remember the days where I used to have the what do we call it? I used to have the words written on there, like text of like, hey, here are the various colors that I'm using things for the markers when we were first starting. That was to let people know what I was up to, but it was also for myself because I needed the reminder of what colors went on what. But now I have a pretty good handle on it after doing this for a few years because I didn't always do this. I didn't always do markers. This was a fairly, not that recent, but a pretty recent addition to the streams. The addition of that. Because I like the vibes of it. Always have. I've always liked the vibes of adding in the markers here. But I never thought that it was something that was approachable for me. And I watched a couple of videos. I watched some streams of people doing it. And I watched some tutorials. I learned about the quick and dirty method, which is the method that I employ in this. And realized like, oh yeah, I could do that. I could do that. It isn't ridiculous. It's like I bought like 4 of these and I've used one of them completely. This is the second one. So they last quite a while. Again, I have 2 more of them, fully brand new, ready to go. I used to like clean them up, but I don't worry about that anymore because I was worried about cross bleed, but that is not an issue that I actually have to worry about. Some people use like a wet tissue, like a Q-tip. Some people use like a tissue to clean up. I like doing the polymer eraser. I think it is satisfying to do. And yeah, even though we don't have arms yet, we now have our shield done that can pop out like that. And we have our gun, which has the weird kind of like extra bit on there for whatever reason. What it's going to do is it's going to go in the hand, and this is going to clip in on the bottom of the hand to kind of keep the gun in place, which is kind of neat. It's a kind of fun little bit of business. So we'll do that. We'll do that. And then we're going to get into the feet and the legs. And then we will connect the top half with the bottom half of the kit. And then we will build the rest of the backpack because this is only part of the backpack. We still have to do like the other parts there. And then we'll learn how to transform the kit from one mode to the other, which hopefully is, yes, there are instructions here of how to swap it around and turn it, basically have the backpack parts become like the new, like the head, like, yeah, the new part of it. And I'll probably have to use the translator to figure it out because I won't immediately know what I'm supposed to be doing, as is my way. And that's basically Monday. Probably going to wrap things up there instead of starting the arms, because we'll just start the arms on Thursday. But we are going to end the stream with a raid. That is how we end every stream around here. We're going to go find someone doing cool shit on a Monday, because the party doesn't stop even though I'm done streaming for the night. We'll go find somebody doing cool stuff and go hang out with them. It is Monday, so we will go see if Mary is streaming. If it is indeed Mary Monday, we like to raid Mary because she only streams on Mondays. So if available, we'll go hang out with her. And Mary is streaming. She is playing Steam World Heist 2, and that'll be fun. That'll be a good time to go hang out with her for that. So let's go raid Ms. Kish. We always end with a raid, as John says, for true. Thank you all so much for spending some time here with me. on this fine Monday evening. Again, a reminder that tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, I am watching old wrestling from All Japan Women and All Japan Pro Wrestling. We will be taking a look at some interviews done, promo interviews done with the late, great Kevin Sullivan. And it's going to be a good time. Also some Michinoku Pro stuff, too, because I got a couple matches in there that look terrible but will be good action. So feel free to come watch that tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks very much for being here. Have a great night. Let's go on a raid. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.